Hi, and welcome to episode number 15 of Get Involved Pittsburgh here on PCTV 21 and 47 in the city of Pittsburgh. My name is Tom Baker, and I'm proud to be your host of the Jefferson Award-winning Get Involved Pittsburgh on PCTV. We've got a great lineup here for episode 15 today of our television show. We really hope that you enjoy it. We have a lot of different community leaders that are going to be sharing with us on this episode. We're going to start with Ken Soliday from the Y in just a minute. I want to give you a quick update, though, on what's going on with Get Involved. We just had our 4th annual Pittsburgh Service Summit on February 26th. It was a great event. We had hundreds of people out at Carlow University for the event again this year. Coming up actually on April 4th, we're going to be in Washington, D.C. for our first ever D.C. Service Summit. And later in the year, we'll be having our 3rd annual South Central PA Service Summit. So the Service Summits are going really well. We continue to host Power Hour every month over at the Shadow Lounge in East Liberty. And we also have the Morning Mix series. In 2013, we debuted 2 new co-hosts, Leanne Weiss and Liz Kennan, and Morning Mix is going great as well. The final program I wanted to mention from Get Involved is our Fast Track Community Leaders Program. We're going to be having our 4th cohort of young community leaders going through the program this spring and into the summer, and we've had 30 alums of the program going really well, teaching 20 and 30-somethings how to get a little bit more entrenched and make more of a difference and handprint in the community. Things are going really well on Get Involved perspective. If you ever want to learn more about Get Involved, please check out getinvolvedinc.org. That's our website. You can also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. A lot of positive things going on. Very happy to be the volunteer founder and chief program officer of Get Involved. Absolutely love the team that we work with. We have a great board, great young professional board, and we get to do a lot of good work in the community, like hosting Get Involved Pittsburgh on PCTV 21. So I want to tell you a little bit about our guest today. Ken Soliday is going to kick us off in just a minute. He's a district vice president with the Y. We have Susan Rahm and Bill Snyder from North Hills Community Outreach, one of the best managed and most impactful community organizations here in Western Pennsylvania. We've got Lee and Jenna from Thread International. They'll be sharing a little bit later in the show. And also we have Rhonda Oliphant from Leadership Pittsburgh, Inc. So it should be a great episode number 15. Really happy to have our 2 next guests with us, Lee Kimball and Jenna Knapp from Thread International. How is it going?
Great.
Good. Thanks for being on the show today.
Oh, thanks for having us. I know you're busy. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, no, I'm very happy to have you here. So Jenna I've known for a little bit longer. Lee, we are new friends, so welcome to the show. Jenna and I met a few years back when she was working with Pittsburgh Cares, and I was working at my previous job. We did some good team leadership programming together, so glad to see that you're still doing a lot of positive work, not only here in the community, but truly with the work that both of you are doing in the world. So tell us a little bit about Thread International. Lee, if you may want to get us kicked off and tell us a little bit about Thread.
Sure. Well, Thread takes trash in the developing world, the poorest parts of the world, and turns it into dignified jobs and useful stuff that people love. Right now we're taking plastic out of Haiti, processing it in Haiti, creating jobs there, and then exporting that into the United States to be turned into new goods for consumers. Okay.
And how long have you been in business? How long have things been going for Thread?
We've been, in some shape or form, almost 3 years. It started with our founder, Ian Rosenberger, who's obviously not here with us today. He's down in Haiti right now, so we're filling in for him. He went down right after the earthquake happened. And among many of the things he did down there to try to help out, he wrote in his journal, if Haiti can figure out how to turn trash into jobs equals good. And 3 years later, it's 80 pages long, but that's still our business plan. We've figured out how to turn trash into jobs and make that a sustainable business.
You mentioned Ian. He, as you're all watching this, he was just our keynote speaker at our service summit on February 26th, so we were really happy to have Ian involved with that. And he's such a positive guy, such an upbeat guy, former Survivor star, which I know isn't always the thing he loves talking about, but definitely does a lot of good now. Jenna, you first got, I believe, involved with Ian and with Thread and Team Tossie. That was really the way that you kind of got involved a little bit too. So tell us about your story.
Yeah, I mean, I was freelancing with the Idea Foundry, and they are our first investor. They took us in, or took Thread in, through their Transformational Leadership Fellowship. And I freelanced and helped them with their business plan. And I had actually known Lee at Penn State and got to work with him again. This job brings about 4 or 5 things that I really believe in into one. And so when I had the opportunity to join the team, I did.
That's good.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Penn State connection, sounds like, amongst the staff at Thread then. Lee, I know you're a former big-time student leader at Penn State. A lot of our viewers happen to be college students. So tell us a little bit. I know you were really involved with Thon. Tell us about your Thon experience at Penn State.
Sure, and that's how Ian and I got to know each other. Ian was the student body president while I was the director of Penn State Dance Marathon, which is the largest student-run philanthropy in the world that raises money for children with cancer, which is coming up taping time in 2 weeks.
Right.
So it's still the largest student-run philanthropy, and it's one of the only times out there that so many college students get together for such a good cause. And I always say it's the best job I'll ever have, and probably the worst paying. But now, that we've found Thread, and these conversations are how Ian and I kind of started with Thread, is that how do we get that feeling back of making a positive impact like we had in college and what our college selves thought we were going to do. Right. And Thread is doing that now.
That is literally why Get Involved exists too, honestly. I mean, my wife and I saw a need. We saw a lot of our friends from college after school, instead of joining boards, being on committees, serving in mentoring roles, we're playing Madden every night, or sitting on their couches every night, not getting involved in the community, keeping the momentum going. So the friendship, it sounds like, Lee, that you and Ian have is very much what I hope other students will do. Those friendships that you develop in college, keep them going, serve on boards together, serve on committees together, start organizations together. That's really what it's all about.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of our peers coming out of college, and everybody has that idealism when you're 18 to 22 that you're going to change the world, but then there's a career path that takes you behind a desk and doing something that just doesn't feel fulfilling to you. And we kept coming back, and at a Christmas party, we're like, we need to change the world like we said we were going to do 10 years ago. Right. And Ian said, what do you think about Haiti? And I was like, I'm intrigued, let's do this.
That's cool. So tell us about the work that you do in Haiti. Are you in Haiti a lot? I know Ian's there right now. Vivian Luke, who runs Team Tossie, is, I think, going there tomorrow. So tell us about the work that you're doing in Haiti.
Sure. We have a couple of great partners on the ground down there that we have about 20 centers that collect plastic from individuals. So an individual family can clean up their street by their house and bring to one of our centers and create supplemental income that way. Those centers are run by individual Haitian entrepreneurs, so they run those as businesses there. They then get taken to our partner processing facility, where it's turned into a plastic flake, looks like a confetti, which is then imported by Thread into the United States and then turned into, because at that point, plastic can be melted down and is essentially the same thing as polyester. It can be turned into things like, like Patagonia fleece is often made out of plastic bottles, or trash cans, any sort of molded good that way.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So you're the CEO, right, Lee? So the Chief Operating Officer. Jenna, you have a very cool title, Director of Strategy. Tell us what that means.
Is that what it is this week?
Director of Strategy. I got that from your website.
Sometimes it's Director of Business Development. Sometimes it's Strategic Partnership.
I like them all. So
but
tell
I
us
do
a little
all
about
of
the work
those
you do.
things.
That's good.
My work primarily falls in quality improvement and capacity growth in Haiti. And so something we learned right away is that if we wanted to provide more jobs, we needed to provide a high quality product in a high volume, and hit the standards that are expected in the United States, and that meet the specs of the machinery that that our plastic needs to go through to be made into those goods. And so I spent a lot of time talking with the engineers that run the plant in Haiti, and working with the partners that Lee mentioned that handle the supply chain up into the point where we import. And so on a day-to-day basis, we're improving quality, we're getting rid of any inefficiencies in operations, and we're increasing volume, and we're on a pretty good ramp up right now. It's exciting. Our quality has been improving over the last 6 months, and so I manage the partnerships that it takes to make that happen.
Great. It's good to know a lot about Thread. Tell me a little bit more about Team Tossie. That's something that I've seen Ian's name associated and your name's associated with for a long time now, or at least a couple of years now. Just seems like there's a lot of interesting things going on, a lot of great work that Ian's doing, and all of you as well. So tell us a little bit about Team Tossie.
Sure. Well, I'll start. At the same time we started Thread, realizing that jobs are the way out of poverty. You go to Haitians, and it's in a country of 80% unemployment. Most people live on $2 a day. But when you ask a Haitian what they need, it's hardly ever money. It's not handouts. It's I need a job to provide for my family. And so Thread sets out to create those jobs, but sometimes people need to be addressed at a different level. So this nonprofit that Ian also founded set out to address the issue of global poverty. And their tagline is to unlock the inherent power in the individual.
Great. And Tossie's actually, that's a person, right?
Yep.
Right, he's a young...
an amazing person.
Right, I've heard amazing things about Tossie when we met at Whole Foods a couple of weeks ago. Right. I heard a little bit about the Tossie story. Tell us the Tossie story, though, and maybe him and Ian and their friendship.
Yeah, and I mean, that is really the origin of where everything started, and where both Thread and Team Tossie came from. Lee already spoke to it a little bit. Whenever Ian went to Haiti after the earthquake, he has a background in production and marketing, and he was documenting what had happened. He was in Haiti 6 weeks after the earthquake had hit. And he went back, he went down once because he had this project, but he went back. Now he's been there almost 40 times because he wanted to. And he saw work that could be done that he believed he could, help to do. And in one of those trips, Tassi came up to him, and he had learned enough English to say, "Will you help me?" And Tassi had a large tumor on the side of his face, and it was going to eventually take his life if he didn't have an operation. And the irony that put him in this position is that he survived the earthquake, but the hospital that was capable of saving his life from the tumor had been flattened. Wow. And so he asked Ian, as a hope. And Ian, being who he is, said yes, and then came home and said, "How am I going to do this?" Right. And turned to friends and family and Google and figured it out. Fast forward a year and a half, and they had brought Tassi to the States. He had the life-saving operation here in Pittsburgh through West Penn, and through the hard work of friends and family, that raised the funds that needed to make it happen. And then he lived with Ian for 4 months.
That'd be interesting, I would think.
Learned each other's languages.
He introduces him as his brother all the time.
He does. It confuses everyone.
Yeah, well, they are truly brothers at this point.
Yeah, they really are. He's been taken into, both of their families have taken one another in. And so, from there, Tassi has become a part of our work. And in sending Tassi back to Haiti after he had the operation, we just learned that you can't help a health problem and save a person. You need to help them in the holistic way. So that's where Team Tassi's mission came from, is doing whatever it takes to stabilize and create dignified self-sustainability for a family. And Thread, in one way or another will help Team Tassi, and the job function overlaps. But now we have two separate organizations, two separate boards, separate staffs. Sure. But we volunteer a lot with Team Tassi, especially for the water balloon fight that happens every year.
Oh, tell me about I've seen it a little bit. Tell me about the water balloon fight.
Yeah, it was a great event. Last year was the first time. It's kind of a grown-up kid fundraiser.
Okay.
Team Tassi originally had some fun events that were galas, very formal, dressed up.
Yeah,
and they realized giving should be fun. It should feel good.
Yeah.
And Viv and Ian started talking about what felt good when you were a kid, and water balloon fights, and how do we turn that into a fundraiser? So they got how many fighters last year?
Almost 800.
That's 800 a lot of water balloon fighters. Wow.
Down at the point, thousands and thousands. Jenna's husband actually was in charge of making sure all the water balloons got filled ahead of time. So we U-Haul and big trucks full of water balloons, and 4 teams down at the point, and just fighting it out. And it was such a fun event.
That's great.
Of course, they're having it again.
You got to keep the momentum going.
Hopefully, the date will be out soon. It's going to be in July or August. Always looking for fighters and volunteers.
That's great. That's the key. I think in general with giving, we go to a lot of dinners. We eat a lot of rubber chicken dinners. That's part of this. But it's also anytime you can mix it up and have a water balloon fight. Our biggest fundraiser for Big Brothers Big Sisters is Bowl for Kids' Sake, which is the largest nationwide non-race or walk that there is, which is good. Right. So, just getting people out there and bowling, that's something different at least. But water balloon fight, that's very cool. I'm very impressed by that.
I had multiple people tell me that didn't know I kind of knew the Team Tassi people. It was the most fun I've had in Pittsburgh. This is great.
That's good. That's good. And Pittsburgh's a fun place to be. So tell us, obviously you're doing a lot of great work in Haiti. How can people get to know Lee and Jenna? What are the best ways to keep in touch with you and the work that you're doing with Thread?
Sure. Well, both have their websites, threadinternational.com and teamtassi.org. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook. We're pretty active on both of there.
Great. All right. Well, Lee and Jenna, thanks for being on the show. We really appreciate it. Great job. In episode 15, we've learned a lot about the YMCA, Thread International, and North Hills Community Outreach. I hope you learned some new things. Hope that you got inspired. We had an event earlier this year, actually on New Year's Day. It was our New Year's Day goal setting party. No matter what day of the year, though, it is, I'm a big believer in goal setting, making sure that you're writing down what you want to do, what you want to accomplish. If you don't write it down, if you don't share it with other people, it's not going to happen. So we actually had an event on New Year's Day. It was a lot of fun. We had it over in Lawrenceville, and we had about 30 people from the community come together to share their goals, to write it down. We had kind of dream boards, goal boards, where we broke it down into different categories. I would ask all of you watching at home or on the internet now to share some goals, to set some goals, share them with your loved ones. I set at least 25 goals every year on January 1st. 5 are related to my work at Big Brothers Big Sisters. 5 are related to my fitness life. 5 are related to my political work. 5 are community work. And then 5 are related to get involved. And it really keeps me motivated. It keeps me inspired. One thing, though, that I make sure to do after I set those goals is that I share them with people. So my wife might even be in the room next to me. I still email them to her. I send them to my mom, to our team with Get Involved, with some of my colleagues at Big Brothers Big Sisters. I would encourage all of you watching at home or online, set those goals, write them down, and then share them with your loved ones. Make sure that they're your accountability partner. So I hope you've learned something through Get Involved, episode number 15. On episode 16, we're going to have a special episode about Big Brothers Big Sisters record-breaking year. The agency served 1,220 children in 2012. It was just a great year. Was named National Agency of the Year. So we're going to have some of our volunteers from Big Brothers Big Sisters on episode number 16 to Get Involved in Pittsburgh. We're going to have Mandy Sable, Mark Bazilla, Steph Hart, Trisha Hyatt, and Eddie Barry. I think you'll enjoy learning from them. But again, Bill, Susan, Lee, Jenna, everyone that was involved in episode number 15 of Get Involved Pittsburgh. Hope you enjoyed it. Our website is getinvolvedinc.org. Thanks for tuning in for episode number 15 of Get Involved Pittsburgh. Thanks, guys.